everyone, I'm Carolyn Cummings. Today, I'll be sharing with you a brief introduction into the academic writing and reading processes. So, what really is academic writing? Academic writing refers to writing that fulfills an academic purpose or task. It is writing that is formal, clear, structured, organized, and focused. Writing that is often discipline specific. This means that there are specific conventions for writing in the particular discipline and purpose for which you engage in writing. As you engage in your discipline or field of study, you will become more conscious and confident about writing in this discipline. Academic reading is also structured, focused, or selective. It is reading done to understand a concept, idea, or topic. It also fulfills an academic purpose. It is reading that involves reading for meaning, reading critically to analyze texts or information, reading to evaluate texts or information, reading often done to support your writing, often to validate an idea or claim that you make. And when we read, we gain more nuanced perspectives about a topic, an issue, or a phenomenon. So, how do we engage in academic reading? Academic reading is often synonymous with critical reading. So, it therefore requires us to read for meaning, read critically, and to read like a writer. So, what does this all mean? Let us try to unpack this. As I mentioned earlier, academic reading requires us to read critically. It is a specialized and focused process of reading various kinds of texts and often requires much time and concentration. The key to reading critically is to first internalize and understand the text. This means that you are able to interpret or relay the meaning or ideas presented in the text. Reading critically also requires you to be able to analyze what you read. Analyze arguments and perspectives, or break down or understand parts of the text in relation to each other. Next, you may consider what's the meaning and significance of this information. Do you agree with every idea presented? What conclusions have you come up with, and why? This is a way to evaluate the information you have read. Engaging in critical reading requires concentration and scheduled time. You can employ a number of strategies in order to read critically. The first and most important strategy for critical reading is to know your purpose for reading. This will help you to be selective of the text, making sure it is relevant and specifically contains information that suits your purpose for reading. Read with a question in mind. Identify arguments made by the author and analyze other concepts and theories. Question the ideas, claims, and information presented in the text. Take note of and analyze arguments and perspectives presented. Do you agree with every idea presented in the text? Is the information provided reliable? How can you tell? Is it objective or subjective? Are there biases in the text? Is the objectivity or subjectivity needed in the specific topic of the discourse? Is it a topic that requires the author to be fair and just to a cause, or is it necessary for the writer to present an opinion or make a subjective claim? What is the opinion of the author? Is it substantiated by evidence or sufficiently explained? What kinds of evidence is used in the text? Is this evidence credible? Are there other perspectives on the subject? How do they compare in terms of reliability, thoroughness, authenticity, objectivity, and quality? The manner and ease with which you read depends on factors such as the purpose for reading and the difficulty of the text. Here are some strategies you can use in your preparation for reading and in order to read effectively. Skim the text. Skimming is not really reading, but you can skim to gain an overview of books and articles to identify their usefulness, and so you can decide whether or not it suits your purpose for reading. Skim for sentences of paragraphs and look for keywords. Consider whether the material is useful by looking at the main ideas, highlighted sections, figures and graphs, subheadings, and evidence. Once you have established that an article or text is useful, scan it for specific information. Look through the text in a strategic way. Read key sections more carefully. You are scanning for main ideas, claims, or important and useful details. Look also for examples or evidence. You may read introductions, abstracts, conclusions, and analyze findings in more detail. Scan for essential details. Now, once you have established that the information is valuable to your purpose, read it more closely. Read slowly and carefully. Then, as you read, you may annotate the text. Write down your ideas about the text. Annotating simply involves marking the page as you read or making useful notes in your own way. You may write comments, highlight, underline, or mark the text appropriately. To annotate, consider the questions and ideas you have and write them down. For example, what is important? And what do the unfamiliar concepts mean? Free writing is another form of annotating and understanding what you've learned from what you've read or how your knowledge and experiences influence the information you've been reading. So just write your ideas down. Just let them flow. Don't restrict yourself. Just write based on what you know of the subject and in relation to what you have read. Then, one of the most important things to do in an attempt to understand information is making sure you understand main ideas. After all that scanning and reading and annotating, what is the main idea of the text? What is the writer really saying? Is he or she effective? Do you think the writer's purpose is achieved? Reading like a writer involves reading critically and rhetorically. This means that it requires you to make assessments about the rhetorical strategies that the writer uses to develop the text. In this context, the term rhetorical strategies means strategies for writing. You may ask further questions about this or ask your lecturers to explain this more closely. You can also do some more reading to help. Have you ever considered what are the strategies that writers may use to compose their text? Well, a good academic reader, especially in higher education, knows how to analyze and evaluate the writer's rhetorical strategies. So let us examine some writing strategies found in academic texts. As I mentioned earlier, there are a number of strategies that writers may use. These are often determined by the writer's purpose, the discipline, and the requirements of the task. The writer may use any of the following strategies. Expository. Now, there are a number of expository strategies, and expository strategies are most commonly used in academic writing. Writers may compare or contrast, show a cause or effect, divide or classify, give examples or illustrations throughout, provide an analysis or subject of a subject or a process, or provide a critical analysis of a text. Writers may also show a problem and provide solutions. or a writer's purpose may be to define. Writers may also use persuasive or argumentative techniques, or they may use descriptive techniques or description, or narrative techniques in their writing. As we engage more in the subject of academic writing, we will be learning more about identifying these strategies as we read and using these strategies as we write. Often, these strategies are used in a complementary way. This means writers may use one or more strategies within a single paragraph or essay or article to explain a point. Similarly, as you engage in academic writing, you need to make choices about what strategies you will use for your writing. Before you make choices about the strategies you will use to write, you must understand your rhetorical situation. What is your purpose for writing? Is it to inform, to entertain, to question, to argue, to explain, to elicit an emotional response? And who is your audience? Who will read your writing? Though it's often your teacher who's required to read your work, you must think beyond the situation. Think in a discipline-specific way. Think public and global contexts. And who is the writer? As an academic writer, your experiences, knowledge, and attitudes towards the subject may influence your writing. What are you writing about? What is your topic? How will the context and your knowledge and experiences influence the way you see or treat the subject? And then we have the context. The context involves all of these areas: the purpose, the audience, the writer, and the subject. And then your context may be formal or informal. You may write personally. You may write as a professional or a businessman, or you may engage in academic writing as a process in which you engage and by which you should not feel threatened. It involves several stages that allow you to think and write recursively and iteratively to fulfill your goal. It's a process in which you may become comfortable and confident in your thoughts and ideas as you write. So it is not a one-shot effort. As a process in which you engage with ideas, texts, rhetorical strategies, and employ personal experiences, style, and skills. In this process, you may pre-write. This includes reading, annotating, free writing, brainstorming, and then planning your strategies for writing. And then you write your first draft. This may include ideas or strategies that you have planned to develop a well-organized flow of expressions and explanations and arguments. And then you may revise. You revise by reworking iteratively and restructuring your work where necessary. This may mean restructuring sentences or restructuring the flow of your ideas. Then you may edit, or you may ask someone to edit for you. Editing includes checking for grammaticality and quality, coherence, and the preciseness and correctness of your ideas and work. And finally, once that is done, you may publish. This simply means that you can submit your work, or you may share it publicly or on social media platforms, or you may even publish in academic platforms or journals. Let us look at what academic writing is and what it is not. Though your individual style may vary, academic writing generally is thinking and writing critically, creating knowledge, or adding to existing knowledge, contributing to a larger discussion, and providing solutions to problems in your local contexts and internationally. And it is writing that fulfills an academic purpose. Academic writing is not reporting the knowledge and findings of others or explaining the knowledge and findings of others only. While in some cases you may need to do so in order to support your ideas and arguments, you are required to write in your own way and present original ideas or add to the discourse on a specific topic and in your specific field. Academic writing is not putting together disconnected ideas loosely. This means that you must develop competencies and skills for producing well organized and coherent writing. Ask your tutors or lecturers questions to have them clarify anything you do not understand. Or you can read additional material that may help you to further understand the processes of academic reading and academic writing.